Check this out. GLA double dollar sign East shot. That's right. Glasses Malone. Watch California's own. The West. You already know what's happening. And right here, our Only Touch Greatness podcast. You feel me? About to check me out, man. The LO in the spot. Let's get into it.
So 2011, when he signed to Cash Money, that obviously is a great thing. Why did you choose them over all the other offers that were on the table?
It was Mac 10, really.
Yeah.
I mean, plus Cash Money was like, I like Cash Money growing up. I liked them more than No Limit for sure. You know, I thought Baby just seemed genuine, and he was. I mean, he did a good job to me as far as somebody in his position. He came to me and he just said some great things. Lil Wayne called me. They just immediately made me feel a part of everything they had going on. And whatever I asked for, whatever I wanted to try to do, you know, they would facilitate it. It was a good situation. So yeah. Okay. Mac 10 said it was going to be that, and it was better than he even told me it was going to be. So it's really, you got to go where you're celebrated. Yeah. You know, Mac 10, you know, Birdman was a real fan of my craft, you know what I mean? And he celebrated me. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot even on that situation. That was like great.
I mean, Beach Cruiser was awesome. And I was so pumped when Beach Cruiser came out and you had all these hits on that CD. Because at that time I was still in the music industry and doing that. And it's almost like seeing a prospect get the boom, all of a sudden the prospect makes it to the big show and they're doing it. And I looked at that CD and I'm like, geez, this is awesome for somebody that I've talked to and worked with, like to see you get this shot. And we were amazed out of all the hits you came out with on that CD. And can you just talk a little bit about that CD?
So that CD is bittersweet for me. Okay. Honestly, the original Beach Cruiser was ready in 2008, right? When Certified was on fire.
Push back.
I think creatively, I think people around me thought I was ahead of the curve. So I had to go back in and create something that I wasn't used to creating. You know, as a creator in music, right? You create sonically, like, right? To do it correctly, you find a groove or a sound, you know, or a pool of style you start working from, and then you build it. Well, before I understood music, right, I would build through stories. I would tell stories. So when I put together projects, my albums would be stories. And the original Beach Cruiser was a story. And I thought it was like fantastic. But at that time, I think Mac didn't, as crazy as it sounds now that I know, I don't think he thought people wanted to hear a story. And so he kind of tasked me to go out and make a sonic album. And I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't have any idea. To me, which is why I always say I didn't deserve a record deal, because unless you have a producer, you feel me, and you don't know how to make records, you know, you don't know enough about records, it could be real deflating. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're doing and make a jackass out yourself. So while I was super proud to get Beach Cruiser out, you know what I mean? And I was grateful. Like it was a grind just to put out an album. At that time, that was considered success, putting out an album. And it also was deflating because it wasn't my vision for Beach Cruiser initially. So even calling it Beach Cruiser probably was a disservice, because Beach Cruiser was something specifically. It was something specific, rather.
I remember when you were about to put out the original one, and then it got pushed back and changed.
And it was tough, man. It was tough. But I'm grateful. You know, honestly, it forced me to learn about a craft that has changed my life, that saved my life, that took care of me, you know, that took care of my family. It's the reason, you know, it's my career now. It's the reason I don't probably work a typical 9-to-5 or I'm not selling drugs.
Do you engineer your own stuff? So you're doing all the work too?
Yeah, like so Beach Cruiser, right? That became the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, yo, I need to pull back. So it's 2012. I'm like, yo, I don't know enough about this. At that time, I thought of hip hop and records as just art. Like it wasn't no science to it. It wasn't no need to study the legends before me. I didn't, you don't think that because it's so artsy. You know what I mean? And reality is that's just totally incorrect. So, because when it came down to it, it was like 2012, I started studying everything before me. Shout out to my DJ Head, who, finally lit the fire under me to make me understand, hey, yo, you need to know. It's some things you don't know. It's some things that you and I started at the science of the science of records and what the art of hip hop was about, the magic of marketing. You start off at records, right? And you're like, damn, well, what's a record? You hear that terminology in the business.
Right.
Then you understand what a hit record is. It don't mean, a radio song. It means something so contagious and special and so disarming, especially in records. And then going into hip hop, that urban street culture and understanding my job to represent these places that don't have representation. And my job is to take them and put them on the main stage, take our issues, our grievances, our celebration, our lingo, our culture, our life, our style, and put it on the main stage. And then, shout out to Nip, rest in peace. But even to be able to apply the magic of marketing and give people a reason to care that my content is available. So it took, it pretty much took a ton of years of my youth, but, I'm grateful. It was worth every year, it was worth every stress, every stripe, every wound I got for it. Every year of music. I'm sorry I denied my fans, but I guarantee you I am going to make up all 8 years where I didn't release content in 3 years just because I took that time.
Perfect. I can't wait. I've always wondered what you've been doing during those times. Where you been?
I was always making records. You know what I mean? I never stopped making records. But releasing them became a different thing. You could just give records to your fans. You know what I'm saying? If my fans came up and asked, hey man, G, I need some new music from you, I wouldn't be like, no, like, yo, bro, I email your song. Like, here, this is for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for me to compete in a landscape, because this is a business, I definitely want to make sure that my music impacts in the business. My records become successful in the business. So, you know what I mean? I was always making records. I haven't never went longer than a week since I started making records without making records. I haven't went a week. I haven't went a month, feel me, without doing verses. I haven't went without doing music. It's just the ability and the know-how and the infrastructure to release them, records. That's what I had to pick up. And obviously that good, Glass House, that stuff, the first one, which is what I'm re-releasing now, but more or less fixed up in a much more West Coast way, in a brand friendly way, in a really great way. And obviously when I got to Tupac Must Die, that was when I kind of start understanding what my role was in hip hop and in marketing. Like, okay, damn, that's when I realized gangster rap, they're not supposed to like you all the time.
Right.
Like, it's okay if you're ahead of the curve and people don't understand your messaging. That's what I didn't realize about gangster rap initially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though I remember when Fuck the Police came out, I remember when Dre Day came out, I remember some of the energy around this stuff, and those guys wasn't too popular, amongst mainstream at that time. So people didn't like that. So that was, I was always making records, but I just needed to learn more. I didn't need to take the game for granted, because the reality is I'm not going to have it forever.